everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. And this is your tip of the week. This is a tablecloth that I made many years ago. I don't have a tutorial on this one, but I'm always getting questions about how do I make a tablecloth. So I'm going to give you some options and go over how you go about deciding what kind and what size to make it. The first thing you need to do is measure your table. Measure the length and the width. Decide how far over the edge you want the tablecloth to hang. Because if you don't know, then you're never going to be able to figure out what you need. So this area here is the tabletop. So again, measure the length, measure the width. And then always add about an inch for seam allowance if you're going to add any border on it. Most of your fabrics that you buy for in here are going to be just enough to cover the top of the table. You might find some fabric that's wide enough to where it will go over the edge a little bit, but you don't get as many choices in fabric. So here you can put borders on all four sides. And so there again, how wide do you want to make your borders? Depends on how far down over the side you want it to hang. Do you want it to hang 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, whatever. And then always add in seam allowance. Now you can put a long border on each side and then another long border here to cover all 4 edges. Or you can put squares in the corners. So you would put first your 2 longest edges on. Add your border strip to this edge, stitch it on using about a 1/2 inch seam, then go to this side and add that border on. Now when I measure out my border fabric, I always cut it a little longer than the fabric that goes in here. Because as you're stitching, the fabric can stretch and out a little bit longer than you want. So this way, you can cut it off after you've sewn and you'll have a nice, beautiful straight edge. Then you measure from here to there to decide how long these strips need to be. So once you've done that, you've measured them, then you go ahead and stitch them on using a 1/2 inch seam. So you'd start over here, put this one on, do any trimming you need to do on the corners. Remember, cut them a little bit longer than what you need. Then go over to this end and do the same thing. If you want to put squares in the corner, then of course you make your squares whatever the width of your border fabric is. So let's say this is 6 inches. You're going to have 6 inch squares, or if it's 6.5 inches, you'll have 6.5 inch squares. So you want to make sure you have plenty of fabric. This is some fabric that I purchased again a long time ago. I did buy it at Joann Fabrics and Crafts, but you're probably not going to find it again because I'm sure this is like 15 years old. But what was so nice about this particular fabric is it had this huge border on each side, and it also had companion fabric. That's this here. So if you wanted to, you could use these squares in the corners. You could have this as your border fabric and then put squares in each corner, and it would look just absolutely beautiful. So if you're not sure how to coordinate your 2 fabrics together, here's a really simple one. This is just a plaid, green, red, and white. So you could select one of these colors and use something like this. I really love this combination. I think this fabric was from Joann's. I don't know if they still have it. And this fabric was from Target, and I know they don't have it anymore. But think about having something like this as your tablecloth. This is a table topper, and it's meant to sit at an angle to where the corners hang over the sides of the table. Now this was made for a long rectangular table, and this was in the center with these corners over the side. And all it was I think they look like 10-inch squares, 10.5-inch squares stitched together, and it's a perfect square. There are 16 squares. It looks like a checkerboard, and on the back there's just plain fabric, and I did put binding on the edges. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you learned something new. Now I'm going to have links to some of my table runners listed below your YouTube screen that are for Christmas and Thanksgiving season. I'll also have my tips, other tips of the week. One of the other things you should probably do is follow me on Instagram, because on Instagram I post things like this. They're items that maybe you're going to be in a tutorial, or maybe I've done a tutorial a long time ago and I just want to mention to you something like this. This is a doll, a fabric doll, and so I will have a link to my fabric doll tutorial. You can get any pattern you want, because all dolls, they're pretty much assembled in the same way. So you can get any doll pattern, follow along with my tutorial, and make it very seasonal if you like. So this is a Christmas doll. Now don't also forget to follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.